I'm Gail C., Director of Teaching and Learning, and this week we are starting this podcast the day after spring break. So we do want to capture some of the work that some of our teachers did over spring break. They were not out there having vacation all of the time. They were doing some professional learning. So Maria, Alan, and Krista all attended the NESA Spring Educators Conference in Bangkok. And I have to thank them for being wonderful ambassadors for ASD because they presented workshops to other teachers within the conference. So Maria, do you want to talk about what you presented?
Sure. So Lisa Bastido and I put together a workshop on using design thinking in the NGSS classroom. It was largely based on a PD that Lisa attended last summer and brought back to our science department, and we incorporated the ideas into our biology classes this year. And our students did this really great engineering project where they created beehives that could sustain high temperatures and dust and heat in Qatar using the design thinking process. And so in our workshop, we actually had the attendees go through a model of the design thinking process where we disabled them and they had to empathize and then brainstorm and then build and test and then had a discussion on that. And then we actually presented our experience with the beehives. And it was pretty great. They asked a lot of great questions. They were really involved in the process, and we had a lot of thank yous at the end, so it felt good.
Yeah, it was a great workshop. I attended it myself, and lots of hands-on, or not hands-on, because
Right,
you had
yeah.
people with their hands wrapped, so
Yeah.
being disabled. So it was a terrific workshop, and I thank you for representing us so well, you and Lisa both, so thank you. So Alan and Krista did a workshop together too. Do you want to talk about your workshop?
We did a workshop on advisory, and either taking an existing advisory and reinvigorating it, or starting from scratch and building an advisory for either middle school or high school. It was based on our experience together, what the work we had done with our middle school, where we had an established advisory and decided it needed a little refresh, yeah. And so we found a great resource that we used, and then that was the process we taught to other, mostly principals and counselors.
Yeah. I also attended their workshop, and you had terrific feedback. The thing I liked about your workshop was that you had some people there in teams from other schools really trying to find out what you found to work really well in
I
our
think that
model.
was actually perfect, having them there with their teams, because
Yeah.
they could actually talk to each other about what the process we were talking about with them, and they were already making plans for what they were going to do when they went back to their own school.
Right.
And hopefully they can find the resource that we used helpful for themselves also, to get their advisory programs to where they want them to be.
So once again, ASD being professionally generous and sharing, some successes that we have had here. So, and we gain from other teachers' workshops as well when we go there. So in terms of that, the conference also had keynote speakers and specialist speakers brought in from the world of education. So Maria, what are you bringing back from the conference?
So I felt like the theme for my conference experience this year was creativity. And there was this one presenter, Garfield Newman, thank you,
Yes.
Garfield Ginny Newman. And he was really great because, first of all, he was an enthusiastic presenter, and you could tell he was passionate about his subject area. But secondly, he gave us some really cool examples, and he did these examples with us. He sort of modeled how he
Right.
would teach or present them to his own classes. And then he also told us how we could modify it for different age levels, which was fantastic. And he, at the end, gave us some interesting resources. So I actually went to 2 of his sessions because I enjoyed the first one so much.
Right.
And they were things that you could implement fairly easily.
Yeah, good. Alan, what was a highlight for you?
Tom Gusky,
Okay.
who's one of those gurus of middle school.
Right.
That you go to the library and it's just Gusky, yeah. I took away a lot in the terms of standards-based grading and reporting.
Right.
And I guess my biggest takeaway was how well we are doing it, but there are a couple of critical little changes we need to make to what we're doing that I think will push us to a much more useful form for both our students and our parents, which will be a big thing. And then the one takeaway for me personally was his advice to me as a teacher was that to think of the standards-based grading as long-term trading, not day trading.
Right,
And that
right.
it's the whole year that we're looking at, not
Right.
those little chunks along
Yeah.
the way.
Great,
Which was,
good takeaway.
yeah.
Krista, what about for you?
I went to the same workshops as Maria with Garfield Ginny Newman, a fellow Canadian. I thought he was great as well. He had lots of great examples. One of the workshops focused on critical thinking, and one of them
Yeah.
focused more on creativity. But both of those things are so important for us to include in our classes now.
Mhm.
And what I really liked was the way he showed us how to organize a unit and taking a challenge task or the project, whatever it might be, and not just leaving it till the end of the unit, but introducing
Right.
it right at the beginning.
Mhm.
So I've kind of been looking at project-based learning as well, so it's very similar how it's set up,
Mhm.
but just making sure there's critical thinking and creativity put in all along the way. So I really got a lot out of that, and I think it'll be really useful in our middle school science classrooms.
That's great. So good takeaways across the board, including from me. And the thing that I really like personally about the NESA conference is that the sessions are not just a smorgasbord of small little short sessions. They're 4-hour, in-depth institutes that you can really go deep with your learning, your professional learning. So that was a good experience for me as well. So I thank you for giving up some of your vacation time to do this, and look forward to seeing how you're sharing out with your colleagues here at school. Thank you very much.